Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Proline. We're set to kick off another week of National Football League action down the home stretch now. So a lot of big games as teams are facing playoff elimination or trying to improve their season or improve their chances getting in, get clinching scenarios. Good time of year to be watching the NFL. We had some great games last weekend. And got Fairway Jay is here. Jim Feist is here. I'm Dave Cokin. We're going to talk about a couple of the games this week. Cowboys and the matching up. And also, the big game on Monday, and it really is a big game, the Texans and the Patriots. That's an awesome game. So plenty to talk about, obviously. Guys, let's start it off by letting everybody know what's going on this weekend with special promotions. Fairway, NFL mismatch game of the year was the Texans. They came through, and you had another good week. What do you got coming up this week?
Really good week last week, Dave. 6-3 on all plays in the NFL. Had a winning week in college football, and we know college football is coming in the end, but the NFL really heats up. We had some totals that were seemingly right that just came ashore. We're going to come back with two totals this week again in the NFL I've identified, along with the NBA TV game of the month going Thursday. Also, the college football bowl package. Everyone knows we got the bowl games, a lot to review in the weeks ahead. We'll include all of that with the bowl package for just $20 if you call 1-866-896-1627. And again, NFL plays up and available. We'll have our whole card up, and we'll likely be in action Thursday as well.
All right. Now, Jim, I'm saving yours for a second. Let me tell people about mine. I had a great day on Saturday in college football. Just crushed the colleges. Unfortunately, gave a little bit of that back in the NFL on Sunday. Just wasn't a good week for me in the pros. We'll take care of that this weekend. But the big focus for me already is the college bowls. I love the bowls. Not as a fan. I think it's the dumbest system I've ever seen as a fan at anything. Okay? I mean, it's just ridiculous. You have the amount of meaningless exhibition games. There is no championship. You only decide that in a playoff format. But from a handicapping standpoint, geez, I hope they never change it. I hope they keep it like this forever, because you can't find a better time of year to bet college football than the Bulls. It's as simple as this. Game after game, and it's not every game, but year after year, I should say, there are going to be a handful of games where one team is clearly motivated over the other. We had an example of this last year here in Las Vegas, and it was one of my biggest plays. Arizona State against Boise State. The Arizona State guys, they're partying every night. They're at Caesar's Palace at the bar. And this information, it wasn't inside information or anything like that. It's like, hey, these guys aren't here to play football. They're here to have a good time. The other team, Boise, serious all week. They had curfews. I mean, they were ready. Well, the game was an absolute cinch. And I'm not saying every game's that easy, but if you do what you've got to do and get the right information, man, can it pay off. My bowl package is available now. It's only $25. You get all my action plays and all the bowls, and my bowl game of the year will be included with that. And my bowl game of the year has done phenomenally well, including last year. Good result last year with that as well. So get this package. Get it right away, because I'm going to toss in a free week of basketball since the Bulls don't start till next week. 1-866-896-1629. It's 1-866-896-1629. Don't miss these games. Going to make you some money with the Bulls. And speaking of making money, it's here. Jim Feist's NFL Game of the Year. This has been, you talk about a game that has paid off in a huge way, going back, close to 2 decades. Jim, this has been money in the bank.
Dave, last year the Chargers destroyed the Ravens 34-14, and that may have meant a lot to those two teams, but it meant a lot to the thousands of customers that joined me for my Game of the Year last year, because that added to the column, the win column, where I'm 12-4-1 since 1995. My Game of the Year in the pros and in the colleges all add up in the handicapping factors that I look at, and they all come together. Those factors, each little statistic or situation that I try to put together to make that happen. This play sells online right now for $100, but you can get it for $49, along with all my college football bowl package and my executive service inner circle releases and the rest of the NFL season through the Super Bowl. Sign up today, get 10 days of college and pro basketball as well. This big game that I'm going to have a lot of money on, and my big clients are as well, all for $49. That's right, $49. Just make the call to 1-866-841-1655. NFL Game of the Year goes Sunday. Don't forget, 1-866-841-1655.
All right, guys, let's look at a game. The Dallas Cowboys got a victory. It wasn't easy. They had to come back against the Eagles. And if you had the Cowboys in that game, that was a horrible beat at the end. They got up by 11. And then, for some reason, with less than a minute to go, they actually punted the ball inbounds, which is, if you want to know why the Dallas Cowboys aren't winning many games, that one play tells you why. You get a coaching staff that doesn't know what the blank it's doing. You don't kick the ball in bounds there, okay? You're up 11 with less than a minute to go. You punt the ball out of bounds. It's really pretty simple. A 5-year-old can figure it out, but Jason Garrett apparently can't. Anyway, 98 yards later, the Eagles are in the end zone and then trying an onside kick. See, the idea is when you're ahead by 11, don't give the other team any chance to get a quick score, which a kick in bounds actually does. Am I being simplistic here, guys? This is one of the dumbest coaching staffs I've ever seen, and that play speaks volumes about it. Anyway, they're at Cincinnati this weekend, and the Bengals have gotten hot, and they are right back in the playoff race. In fact, with a good chance with a win here to really help themselves. First, Jay addressed the coaching staff of the Cowboys, which I think we're really starting to get an idea of why this team has been so erratic and hasn't lived up to expectations. They don't know what they're doing. That's a very simple play or decision that they couldn't figure out.
It's I know, certainly for myself, I've been on the Cowboys a few times this year, not last week, but it's been frustrating because you do see it through the course of a game, some of the decisions. I've been a little frustrated because I rely on rushing guidelines a lot, and they just don't run the ball much, and they're bottom 5 in the NFL. Now, they've been without, of course, DeMarco Murray a number of games, saw him back in action, and their offense has come to life against the two division rivals in recent weeks. I think, Dave, the first thing I did on this game was I checked the weather because I thought I may be on the over here, and I see that it's actually about a 60% chance of rain in Cincinnati on Sunday, about 10, 11-mile-an-hour winds. You want to watch it because it looks like it says it's going to be raining, and they're showing 60%, so you want to just double-check that. I've been probably over the years more critical of the Cincinnati staff and coaching. I think they haven't got the most out of their team, but the last years now with the A.J. Green coming in the draft at wide receiver, and certainly the quarterback play has given them some stability. And they have been a team that I've looked to be able to run and control the ball a little bit more. Now, Cincinnati's on a 4-0 straight up against the spread run. They're playing their best ball after early in the season. The one game that stood out to me, Dave and Jim, was when they had Pittsburgh at home. I really thought they'd come with a home run effort, and they were just dominated in the second half by the Steelers that day. And you felt it the next week in their play, but since then they've been pretty good. This really sets up. This is a very meaningful game. Obviously, the Bengals are tied with the Steelers for the second wild card spot at 7-5, and the Cowboys are tied with a number of teams at 6-6, trailing just one game back of the wild card chase. So it's a very meaningful game. I looked at the schedules to see. I think the Bengals have a pretty tough road here at Philly, at Pittsburgh, and home against Baltimore to finish. The Cowboys get the Steelers at New Orleans, or the Steelers in New Orleans at home, and then against Washington. So they both play Pittsburgh in the upcoming week. The matchups here, to me, point to scoring. I think Dallas, to move the ball, is showing that they're moving it through the air well, and Cincinnati gives it up through the air, and I think the Bengals can have some success against a Dallas defense that was pretty strong early in mid-year, but obviously the last few weeks have shown some issues against both Philadelphia and Washington. So I think weather permitting, I probably prefer the over, and I'm really trying to get on Dallas, but I think you covered it. You have to have some questions about not only the coaching but the defensive play recently.
Well, the Bengals are finding ways to get through games, and they're in good shape now. it helps when you're playing San Diego, and it helps when you're playing Philly, which they're doing next week. So this team, with a win here, they're probably going to be 9-5 and in great shape to make the playoffs. They've played well lately. Nothing spectacular. They're not that type of football team. But I think they might be able to hit some big plays here against Dallas. And, Tony Romo is never going to be one of my favorite quarterbacks, but I think at times he gets a bad rap. He's well above average. I think he can also put some points up. Now that DeMarco Murray is back on the field for Dallas, they are clearly a much better offensive football team. And, in fact, we'll give the coaching staff a little credit. They did balance the offense over the weekend against Philadelphia. You can't be throwing 62 times he threw in the Thanksgiving Day game. That's ridiculous. And you won't win football games that way. I'm pretty much with you here, Jay. I don't think it's a bad spot necessarily for Dallas, but I have no faith in the football team. And I can't pick them to win, but I do think they'll score points, and I think they'll give up points as well. I won't make this official. It's an opinion right now because the weather in places like Cincinnati can come into play in December, and I'd rather have up-to-the-minute information. 5-day predictions are great, but they're not always accurate. So I'm going to lean over in this football game. I think you'll see some points. Jim, what do you say?
Well, I agree that the over is the side that I was looking at. I'm concerned about the rain and the potential wind factor. Both of these coaching staffs, in my opinion, leave a lot to be desired. But I do like the fact for Dallas. I think they're in a situation here where they're getting points. Cincinnati is not a great football team. They've been doing well the last few weeks, but they've had a soft run the last couple of weeks. I think it's 4 games. 3 of those games are against real soft teams. And I'm not so sure that Cincinnati is a club that you can depend on in a favorite role in a meaningful game. They've been failing in this department for many, many years. They burned a lot of people's money. Dallas, as a favorite, of course, we don't want them. I think in this spot, Dallas plus the points and the over would be the spot that I would want to be on. The problem is the weather. So I'm going to back off of it because the weather can affect the running game, can affect a lot of things. Right now, I'm not going to do anything with it.
All right, before we get to our question of the week, which is either from Twitter or Facebook, well, before we do that, let's check in with our man of the street. You know who that is. It's Jeff Sod from LVSS. Jeff, what do you got for us this week?
Thanks, Dave. A free total coming up. But first, you get the rest of December NBA and college basketball for $15. Plus, you'll get Army, Navy, and football on Saturday and my NFL rivalry game of the year on Sunday. All this just $15 from LVSS. Just call 1-866-575-8916. Your free total is the Rams at the Bills matchup. It's December, that means cold weather in Buffalo. And speaking of cold, the Rams come to town with a frigid offense, one of the worst in the NFL. 3 of the worst games have come away from home. A 23-6 loss at Chicago, a 17-14 loss at Miami, and scoring only 7 points in New England against the Patriots. The under is 36-17-1 in Rams' last 54 road games. The Rams prefer to run the football, as do the Bills, with a top 10 running attack, but a bottom 10 passing game. Last month, the Bills played a team at home similar to the Rams, the run-oriented Dolphins, and won 19-14 as both teams had under 282 total yards. Play the Rams and Bills under the total in frigid Buffalo. Once again, you get the rest of December NBA and college basketball for just $15. Plus, you get Army and Navy and football on Saturday and my NFL rivalry game of the year on Sunday. All this just $15 to LVSS. Just call 1-866-575-8916. Back to you, Dave.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Have a great weekend. And we will try and do the same. Before we get to the next game, the big battle between the Texans and Patriots, Brock Jones, Miami, sends in turnovers are a huge factor in deciding games, both straight up and ATS. Yet it appears impossible to predict game to game. Are there any tricks pro cappers use to predict or factor in potential football TOs? I don't know if it's a trick or not, but by the second half of the season, you have clear patterns established on teams that do turn the ball over on a regular basis and those that force turnovers and those that don't. So it's not 100% predictable, but it's one more factor that you use as far as data is concerned in analyzing is teams that are more likely to turn the ball over against teams that are not likely to turn the ball over. I don't know. If there's a trick, I'd like to know it as well. Jay, is there a trick?
This is something I actually keep turnover stats, and it's kind of more informational, but I use it to show in the NFL, Jim and Dave, how impactful turnovers can be. In college, 3 turnover to negative differential is pretty impactful. Over 80% you'll lose your. But in the NFL this season, I actually track 3 turnover differential. That's where the real money comes in if you're on the wrong side of that. Teams that are plus 3 or more in the turnover column in an NFL game this season are 39-2 against the spread. So when you're watching a game, if you see your team turning the ball over, you're in a real problem area, even if the rushing yards and everything else add up. Now, just to show you the impact, teams that are plus 2 or more, teams that are just plus 2 exactly in the turnover column are 33-8-1 against the spread this season. So you add those up and you see that teams that are minus 2 in the turnover column in a game are, better than probably 85%. You're going to lose your bet. Now, how do we translate to that to handicapping? Really, fumbles are random. I mean, 90% fumbles are just random, and then punts you can't anticipate. But I talked to Jim a little bit about this. I utilize it with quarterback play. If I see a young quarterback or a rookie quarterback on the road and they're up against a top defense, I might be able to anticipate that they're going to be under more pressure. The crowd noise. If it's a real strong defense, they're going to get the pressures and the sacks. Then you're maybe forcing the quarterback into more mistakes potentially, and you can maybe anticipate turnovers. That's how I utilize it. The fact is, it's very you can't handicap fumbles certainly. But in terms of potential interceptions, I utilize it that way with maybe the quarterback play on one side against a strong defense that I think can create them. But keep this in mind. Other than betting against the Kansas City Chiefs, which leads the league in turnovers, it just seems like week after week they struggle. Remember that those things tend to even out and balance out. So even though a team's turning it over a fair amount, it usually comes back to the norm, and they're working on correcting those problems. So you can't just count on that continuing, other than, I guess, for the Chiefs this year.
Yeah, and not every week, because the Chiefs played a heck of a game last week, and they took my money. I thought the Panthers. Not that I like the Panthers. I actually don't know how the Chiefs played that game under those conditions. And not only that, they played their best game of the year. So it's an inexact science. But you can put those numbers and trends to work for you and have a better chance of being on the right side. That's what this is all about. By the way, you can follow us on Twitter at JimFeistSports. And we hope you'll friend us on Facebook as well, at Proline TV. And if you've got a question, by all means, post it to Twitter or Facebook, and there's a good chance we will enter it, or answer it, at least attempt to, right here on Proline. All right, on Monday, wow, this is pretty good. Texans and Patriots. The Texans are unbeaten on the road this season. They're a team that's on the short list of Super Bowl contenders. I think they were last year as well. But unfortunately, they had some critical injuries and ended up with a third-string quarterback come playoff time. Won a game anyway. They beat the Bengals in the playoffs, but just couldn't get any further than that. They're a real good football team, though. A little ultra-conservative at times under Gary Kubiak, but really hard to find fault with what the Texans are doing. And the fact they've won all their road games is really impressive. But here they go into New England and face a Patriots team that's used to the big game spotlight, more used to it than any team in the NFL. And make no mistake, this is a big football game on Monday night, Jim. This is one that, unless you don't care at all about the NFL, you're going to be watching this game for sure.
Yeah, the problem with this game, Dave, I agree with you. This is the best game as far as quality athletes, quality teams, quality coaching going against each other. This is a big game. But in a lot of respects, it's kind of meaningless, except because these two guys could probably end up meeting in the AFC Championship game. Houston is got it all going on. They got the run, they got the pass, they got the experienced quarterback, the experienced coach. They got the two backs that run the ball extremely well. Foster leading the way there. They got defense. They got it all, and they have won every game on the road. They're very dangerous. On the other side of the ball, you have the Patriots, and this has been around for a decade now or more, where this team has dominated football in many ways. Offense is fourth in passing, 292 yards per game, sixth in rushing, which is kind of surprising because in previous years they haven't been doing very well in that department. Last week they played a little flat. I didn't think they were quite into the game as much as they had been the previous weeks, where they're probably averaging about 50 points per game. But they have injuries. And Gronkowski is out, and I think they lost another wide receiver.
Edelman.
Edelman, was it?
Yes.
Foot. So, I mean, they are definitely short on some players that they brought in Stallworth, who's in and out of the league all the time now, but he's a pro, he's an old pro, knows how to play. This is going to be a tough game from the standpoint, when you look at the line in this game, open 4.5, there's some 3.5s out there, but there's a lot of 3s. The money has come in on Houston, and the total has gone down from 53 to 52, but a lot more 51.5s. I haven't checked the weather on the game yet, but that will be a key element. Yeah. You are talking about the Northeast. You're talking about Monday night. That's going to be a key element. So the money is coming in on the dog and is coming in on the under. And I can understand why, because Houston right now, not only are they a talented club and considered by many to be the best team in football, they got an 11-1 record. They're healthier than the Patriots. So right now, at this moment, I'm leaning to Houston, and I'm going to check the weather before I have a decision on the total. But that can change because I have to watch the practice information, what's going on the practice field on Thursday and Friday, and make a final decision come game time.
Jay, what are your thoughts right now on the Texans and Patriots?
Well, we partnered together for this show while Jim was talking. I just double-checked the weather. And, again, you need to watch it come game time because it's actually showing it could rain more as the day progresses on Monday. It'll be low 40s, showing about a 60% chance of rain, light winds in Foxborough. I think, Dave, from a standpoint of more meaningful, I give the Patriots an edge here because they're 9-3 and Houston's 11-1, and Houston's remaining schedule sets up. They have the Colts twice and Minnesota at home. So, it seems like they could very possibly sweep the board the rest of the way. Even if they split with Indy, they're probably on track here to get the home field number 1 seed, whereas the Patriots are still battling for the number 2 seed at home field and a first-round bye, which is very meaningful in the playoffs. The concern I have with New England is, as you go back through their schedule this year, they've been very inconsistent at home, which is surprising. You're often seeing them. Brady. I will say this. I know from statistical and ATS stuff that when Brady's less than a 9-point favorite with Belichick and the Patriots, he's just been money. I mean, he's just been 2 out of 3 winners, 66% or better. He's very strong. But, you look at their loss to Arizona as a big favorite. They did beat a good Denver team at home, 31-21. There's your, score against a good defense, and they put up points, 31-21. But then they struggled in overtime against the Jets. They struggle with Buffalo at home in a high-scoring game. They blow out Indianapolis. We had the Patriots that week. So there's been some inconsistency in their play. We know the offense is there. These, ironically, are the 2 number 1 rushing teams in terms of attempts per game. They both average over 33 attempts per game. Houston's number 1, Patriots number 2, and the ground games are very similar, 141, 142 yards per game in the ground. The defenses, I give the Houston an edge, but in terms of situations, I still think this lends up a little bit more Pittsburgh's favor. When the line came out, I bet Houston right away, and now I'm kind of looking back because I thought this is the better team, but I have to look at the situation a little bit more, so I'll position myself back accordingly. And I think Jim's note about the total, you have to. If this is a playoff type atmosphere, remember Houston went to Chicago and played a 13-6 game against a very aggressive, solid, and opportunistic defense. The Patriots aren't that strong, and certainly their offense is more capable. But, Houston, maybe this is a little letdown offensively. Last week we saw it as well. And the Patriots, over streak, I think, was snapped last week. 9 in a row. They go to Miami, and it's a little less scoring than expected there. But I think it's a tough call on the game because of the situations, and both teams are strong on each side of the ball. But maybe the motivational edge to New England and perhaps less scoring than expected.
I'm going to lean under. Look, the Texans, if we've learned one thing about them, they're conservative in big games. They were in the Green Bay game, which didn't work out well at all, because they just couldn't contain Aaron Rodgers that night. They had a horrible night defensively. But this is a good defensive football team. So that was kind of an anomaly. The Chicago game, the weather had something to do with it. It wasn't a very nice night in Chicago when they played there, but nevertheless, I think you saw the personality of the team in that game. They're a physical football team that wants to butt heads and try and beat you that way, which, by the way, I think is a good way to play the game. It's still, I know they're trying to legislate against all the violence in football, but, you know, it is what it is, and this team fits that profile. It's part of the reason they're really good. Not a lot of finesse about the Houston Texans. And the Patriots will probably oblige them. Even though they're a high-scoring football team, I think the Patriots will get right in there and play this kind of like a playoff game themselves. May the best man win type of thing. Let's see who's stronger. So I think you're going to see a game with more running than you might normally expect in a Brady game. I don't think you'll see a 50-pass output from Brady. Clock keeps rolling. You might get the benefit of bad weather. I think the under is the way to play. All right. Before we get to the we're going to do the best bets here. Either what we talked about in today's show or, of course, anything on the board. And we'll, excuse me, once again, let everybody know what's going on with special offers. Mine, game I just talked about, I think it's a good play. The under between the Texans and the Patriots. And your best bet for sure right now is to get lined up to get money in these bowl games. I don't know how else to put this, and I don't like, I'm not a big hype artist doing this. I win every year at the Bowls. I really like the Bowls a lot, and I'm going to win again this year. You'll get all my action plays. Now, that doesn't mean you'll get a play on every game, but you'll get most of them, okay? And you will get my bowl game of the year as well, which has been sensational over the years, and won again last year. So you're going to get that all for $25. Bowl game of the year included in the bowl package, $25. And because the bowls don't start till next week, you get a free week of basketball to build the bankroll right away. 1-866-896-1629 is the number to call. You're only going to need to spend $25, and you will be good to go. 1-866-896-1629. Jay, NBA TV game of the month tonight. What a way to kick off the weekend.
Yeah, we got some key games on television tonight, and I've got action in one of them. Also, more NFL totals this week. I'll hold off on keeping one of them a free play here for that. We've got those identified along with the College Bowl package. $20, you get that. 1-866-896-1627. We'll include the bowl package along with 2 NFL totals and our Thursday night TNT game. 1-866-896-1627. I bet the advance line here in Vegas, Dave, a week ago. I projected that the Washington Redskins would beat the New York Giants Monday night, and they'd come and the line would rise, and it has against Baltimore. So my best bet this week is still playing the Washington Redskins under a field goal favorite here at home against the Baltimore team that I think is a little still overvalued and not as good as again. I think the momentum continues to roll with the Redskins. They're showing it in a very strong read option running game with Griffin, and I expect them to continue that despite coming off the Monday night big win over the Giants. The Redskins this week over the Ravens.
Well, Jim, this is about as good as it gets. NFL Game of the Year has been absolute money in the bank, and It'd be cool just to sell that game. I mean, that'd be a good value. But you're putting it in your college football bowl package, which I think makes this about the best offer I've heard all year.
Well, you're right, Dave. It is a great offer, and I believe that people that they want. I mean, for $49, you get so much. I mean, you're going to get, which is $100 online just for the game. But if you call now, you get $49. You get the college bowl package. You get the executive service plays, inner circle bowl releases, the rest of the NFL season through the Super Bowl. And if you call right now, you get 10 days of college and pro basketball as well. $49 for all of that. 1-866-841-1655. As far as the best bet, I mean, right now, there's so many good bets on the board here in pro football this week. It's really hard to choose. But I will say this. The Arizona Cardinals, they put up, I'm not going to even get into the New York Jets and all that BS that's going on up there. But the Arizona Cardinals went up to New York last week and they stunk up the place. I'm going to keep an eye on who's quarterbacking for Arizona this week.
It's you. If your neck's okay,
but
it's
I'm not sure that it really. What's that?
I said if your neck is okay, I think you're next in line to start for the Cardinals. I'm next week. Boy.
I pass.
Yeah, really.
This kid Lindley, I mean, I'm never going to knock a guy for not having a future, and everybody can grow and get better. But he made the New York Jets defense look like they were primetime, and believe me, they're not primetime. Seattle came out of the box last week and had a big road win, which they don't usually do. Russell Wilson is a champion quarterback at this moment. He's playing along, as well as the two big rookies that everybody talks about, RG3 and Locke. This kid's right in there playing great. Coaching's doing a good job. Their defense has been remarkable. And you talk about defense against the Arizona offense. And I don't know how Arizona scores in this game. I really have no idea. Unless it comes off of defensive turnovers or anything, I don't know where the points come from. They have no running game. They never get the ball to one of the best wide receivers in the league. I don't know why the hell they don't trade them. The quarterbacks suck. And unless Seattle is pointing ahead to something else, I know the numbers, Ken. I never lay double digits in football, pro football that is. But I just don't know how this team can score. And Seattle is a monster on defense. And at home, we all know what they're like at home. So to me, the best bet in this game is Seattle. And I'm afraid that the damn line might be 15 by game time. There's only 10 now, but Seattle would be my best bet.
That Seahawks-Jets game set the NFL back about 50 years less. That was awful, awful. All right. Good stuff, guys.
It all starts in the front office, Dave. Ownership, coaching. They had a big press conference this morning. Wow, are we surprised that Rex Ryan named Sanchez as the quarterback? I mean, I don't know what's going on there. I don't even know why they.
Well,
I have no idea. I'm perplexed.
Jim, the good news is they don't know what's going on there either, so at least you're not alone. All right. That's going to wrap up this edition of Proline. Don't forget the college football edition is going to be online as well. And then we'll be coming back next week with a recap of the weekend's action on Tuesday. So there's 3 Prolines every week for you to watch right here. Take advantage of the offers. Some real good ones this week. And we will do it again next week. For Jim Feist and Fairway Jay, I'm Dave Cokin. Thanks a lot for watching, and enjoy your day.